evening, we bring you the latest in the world of sports. I'm Paulo De Rosario.
We bring you the conversations you want to hear from your favorite icons and athletes. I'm Alexis Tintay, and tonight's game plan. We'll get to know four more of our UAAP Season 84 correspondents reporting from the sidelines.
We'll also take a peek at the gritty PBA Governors Cup semis featuring Ginebra versus NLEX and Magnolia versus Meralco. And we'll get some stories from the court side of the Premier Volleyball League 2022 Open Conference quarterfinals. Buckle up, sports fans. Let's get in the game.
Now let's take a look at today's results for Day 2 of UAAP Men's Basketball. Jerome Lastimosa was perfect from the field as he led Adamson to a 16-point win against UE. Then Tyler Teo caught fire, scoring 17 points in the third quarter as the Eagles defeat the Tamaraws. Mark Nonoy also made his first appearance for LaSalle as the Archers defeated the NU Bulldogs. And currently, the UP Fighting Maroons are battling the USC Growling Tigers as both teams look for their first win of the season. And as the season continues to progress in UAAP men's basketball, it's time for us to get to know more of our correspondents reporting for our beloved fans and athletes. Tonight, we are joined by Lexi Rodriguez, EJ Amante, Jack Macaset, and Zandi Baharias.
All right, guys, welcome to the show. Don't be shy, you can laugh. Of course, the four of you here, just so all our viewers know, are not on the broadcast yet for the UAAP men's basketball tournament. And we're going to see you, the four of you, later on in the season. So for those wondering, you can catch them there. I want to start off first with Jack because, again, only guy here. So I got to start off with you. Siyempre, you're coming into this one as a former athlete. A lot of people want to stay in sports industry after getting a taste of that action.
Yeah.
What made you choose going into a program like this, and what do you hope it could lead to?
Well, this is a new opportunity for me, most especially during the 2-year hiatus of the pandemic. There were no tournaments. There were no chances of playing outside with other people. So I would like to see this as an opportunity for me to hone my skills, most especially I'm a comm student. And I would also want to challenge myself in a way.
Can I just point out, the pictures that we're showing of Jack right now are him playing for LaSalle, pero he moved on to the blue side eh.
Ganun talaga pag
my
true
goodness.
blue, pal.
Okay, so let's move on to someone else, Alexis.
And also, okay, let's move on to EJ. Kasi si EJ, sobrang interesting ng background niya kasi she wants to be a lawyer someday. Pero her father taught her how to play golf as well as watch F1 and basketball. And alam mo, gusto ko tanungin are you into sports law if ever in the future dahil sa mga interests mo?
Actually, I'm really interested in being a lawyer for sports injuries.
Exactly.
But I really want to become a criminal lawyer someday.
That's amazing.
No,
That
that's
is
actually,
intense, pal.
That is actually more intense than I expected as an answer. Pero EJ, when you look at, you came in, and the bio here says that you wanted to improve your communication skills right now, and just how the storytelling in your mind fit into what you want to do.
Well, I really want to become a courtside reporter because I really want to understand people, get to know them, ask the right questions, and this is the best opportunity for me to improve my skills and also discover new experiences which I can use in my future.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
Alam mo, tamang-tama yun yung laging sagot ng courtside reporter. Kasi yun talaga yung job namin eh. It's to tell the stories. It's not another job for any other kind of media.
Yeah.
Kasi kumbaga yung sa amin talaga, lalabas mo yung stories ng buhay ng players and you get to do it inside, outside the court and bring it to the audience.
I agree. And of course, we're actually starting the shift right now. Siyempre, we're moving on from the name courtside reports and moving on to correspondent. Kasi grabe, they're going to be doing a lot more.
Yes.
And you all being here actually is a part of that. And Zandy, when you when we were talking a bit a while ago, and you were talking about how sports and your family actually come together in the sense that you grew up with them watching and you listening. How does it feel na at the moment, siguro moving forward, your family will still be watching and you won't just be listening in. They're going to be listening to you instead.
I know, it's crazy. I think this is one of the reasons also why I wanted to join the UAAP was because my grandfather is such a big sports fan. And so just the feeling of being able to tell those stories to my grandfather, I think is something that I'm very looking forward to doing.
Siyempre, so the family thing, it really exists.
You know
Totoo
what,
lang.
it's heartwarming.
Yeah.
I mean, to know when a person comes from a sports family kasi hindi lang yun individual passion, it's a group passion and it's something that you grow up with.
Yeah.
So it's very comforting for a lot of the audience to know na, yung taong to, lumaki siya sa sports.
Yeah.
Diba?
No, I agree. And let's move on now to our next correspondent, dito, si Lexi Rodriguez. And I when I was reading through the bio, natawa ako kasi it's fashion and sports. They're trying to combine it. You want to grow up to be a writer for fashion, but syempre you want to put in sports as well. How does that all work out in your head?
I mean, if you look at it in like two different ways, it's like two different worlds talaga. But then I want to know like the dynamics on how athletes play, like their discipline, and I think that it's the same with like people in the fashion industry. You know, like their typical day-to-day life, it's different talaga, and you experience different things every day. And I think that's what I want to also experience in the sports industry as a correspondent.
Yes, and given her likes for fashion, ang ganda ng dress mo. Thank you so much. Kita naman talaga.
Okay, no.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense though,
Diba?
Lexi.
And I also want to ask Jack, syempre, you came from the athlete side. So, of course, you're going to have a deeper understanding as to what athletes go through with regards to training. Paano mo yun mailalagay as a correspondent? How are you going to deliver the message, the support that they want from the fans, and also, syempre, the guidance that they get from their coaches? How are you going to share all that?
First of all, I'm gonna have to turn on my athlete mode, so
Yes.
I'll be able to empathize, get in the feel of how they feel during the game, and so that's somewhat easier for me in order to interpret and to share with the fans how they're feeling and how what they would wanna express during the game, and as I would give it to the fans.
You know, that's interesting kasi syempre that whole athlete mentality, it does matter. It gives you a different perspective. Me personally, I've seen a bit of that because, well, I grew up around the coach. Pero when you have that mentality, I'm sure that's going to help you out. Lexi, you talked about putting your worlds together right now, and what excites you the most of actually approaching the sports world in a way that I'm 100% sure you probably did not approach it before?
I know, but honestly, like everything, just everything, like going into the court, like waiting who's gonna win. I think that's what I'm just really excited about.
And you know, just anticipation, waiting. I think it's something you can't really quantify and all of that. I want to move on to Zandy. When you talk about your family, getting used to the syempre, you're going to make you're gonna find different bonds there and discover how teams are also families and how they all work out, syempre. And do you feel that it would be a big part in your understanding and your connection with your family once you understand how the teams function as families as well?
Oh, definitely. I believe that that's the very nature of sports as well. You know, what really got me into it. For the UAAP, for instance, you know, it's something communal that everyone shares, right? And so I think that understanding that dynamic that sport teams have and bringing it into the family, I feel like it's going to be a whole different conversation over the dinner table.
I agree. And Alexis, I'm sorry, I'm going to put you on the spot here because a while ago I asked the four of you if you have any questions for her because she actually is a courtside reporter in general. So I want to ask the future lawyer to try and grill this person right here. And you know, what type of knowledge do you want to extract from her at the moment?
The knowledge I really want to learn is how do you handle the pressure? Because in a game, a lot of things are happening at the same time. How do you make sure that your report, it consists of everything that's important?
You know what? They think that law and sports would be like two different worlds. Pero the one thing that's common about them is that you have to handle the pressure. Of course, if you have to handle a client, you have to handle a case. You walk straight to the court with your head up high, and pareho lang yon, korte sa basketball man o korte sa gobyerno, talagang kailangan nandun yung confidence mo. You have to believe in yourself because you know that you are gonna deliver the right message.
I'm impressed at her answer. I'm impressed at your question. Yeah, so knowing all of that, how about you? Do you have any questions for Alexis over here before we move on to talking about you more?
I feel like it's a really good question, and I'm gonna up that bar. But I want to ask a bit of technicalities. How difficult is it to have something? I believe you're hearing something while you're.
Yeah, they hear us. They hear the commentators. Yeah, but then syempre, that's a big part of that storytelling.
Talking for 2 hours.
It's
No,
not
but
a
then,
bad thing, no?
but then it's something that I always tell the panel and the prod crew that an earpiece, it may seem like a simple instrument, pero it's the tool that makes you listen to your panel. And when you're a correspondent, it's not a one-person job. You have to listen to what they gotta say, and you have to add to it. A correspondent doesn't just show face to the audience, pero kailangan talagang ma-connect mo kung ano yung nangyayari in-game and also outside the game. You have to explain to everyone what's happening.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this was an accidental free workshop for all of our correspondents with Alexis Tinsay. But ladies and gentlemen, we're excited to have the four of them here. We're excited to see them on the court sooner rather than later, and hopefully we get to hear a lot more from them soon. That is EJ Amante, Jack Makasayat, Alexi Rodriguez, and Zandy Baharias, your correspondents here for UAAP Season 84.
Woo! Exciting.
Okay, your line.
There! After the break. We're on to the PBA Governors Cup semis games for both series tomorrow. Who are the top players to watch and who will go to the finals? All that more, so stay tuned. You're watching the game.
Welcome back. You're watching the game. Games for both Ginebra and NLEX, Ginebra versus NLEX and Meralco versus Magnolia will be underway tomorrow. The Gin Kings are 2-1 over the Road Warriors, while the Bolts lead their series 2-1 over the Magnolia Hotshots. Now, for the meantime, let's hear from our analyst, Diego Dario, to understand deeper what it takes for these teams to assure a trip to the finals. Diego, welcome back to the show. Always great having you here, and congratulations again on being part of the UAAP broadcast. And, again, hearing your voice always makes us all happy here. But, Alexis, you get us going talking about the PBA.
Alam mo, simulan na natin sa Ginebra and NLEX.
Okay.
Jegs, we have a really stark legend matchup. Can you talk about Brownlee and Clark?
Well, first of all, thank you, Alexis and Pao, for having me tonight for the semifinals of the PBA. Of course, when we talk about Ginebra versus NLEX, we're going to talk about the import matchup. When you have Brownlee, a guy who can really take over, who can score in so many different ways for Ginebra. He's basically a bucket getter, difficult shots. And on the other hand, for NLEX, a different kind of import, a different kind of player compared to Brownlee. He uses his athleticism more of an inside presence for NLEX. So a really interesting matchup here between these two imports.
And with Cameron Clark, the way he's performing, you can feel that he's getting used to playing with the NLEX Road Warriors because, of course, being a late replacement for KJ McDaniels, you're getting a different kind of import. You're not going to get the same guy like KJ McDaniels who could take over the game. You have a system guy that can move the ball around and really be part of this NLEX team. And you could see his value, especially towards the end of that game. Crucial steal and the go-ahead bucket as well as a crucial free throw.
Definitely. And I also wanted to ask, kahit si Pao muna yung sumagot, there was a very strange ending to Ginebra. And with regards to LA, I really wanted to know because the fans, the audience are also curious as to what we have to say.
Okay, so for those who don't remember exactly what happened in the end, so LA Tenorio gave a turnover that returned the ball to Cameron Clark, an on-rushing Cameron Clark, who got the go-ahead bucket and scored a free throw afterwards. Yeah. And then after
Crucial
that,
play.
with 7 seconds left, he got the ball back, sprinted the length of the floor, gave a shot a lay-in. Unfortunately, they were down by 3 and not 2. And the game ended there. And of course, it was a blunder. Sabi nga ni LA Tenorio that na-disorient siya sa turnover. Jegs, when you hear that type of explanation, sometimes you can get into your own head. How do you feel about that?
Well, I can't say I know how it feels because I've never played in a semifinals PBA game. I've played in a UAAP semifinals game, but the PBA is a different game, in terms of talent. But we know what Coach Tim wants to say to LA, that he's gonna give him a pass. He said that in an interview because LA Tenorio has done so many things for Coach Tim Cone, especially in the end game, and he knows that LA will bounce back. He's that type of a player. In order for them to make it to the finals, they just need one win.
Well, moving on from, we talked about Cameron Clark a while ago, so let's move on now to the Meralco series against Magnolia. Of course, we have to take a look here at the import matchup, IE. And when we talk about the import matchup, we have to talk about Tony Bishop and Mike Harris. Tony Bishop filling in big shoes in Alan Durham and looks very close to replicating what he did in bringing Meralco to the finals. How important is this pairing in particular?
Well, another interesting matchup right here between Tony Bishop and Mike Harris. Two very different players. Tony Bishop, more of an outside threat. He loves to play around the perimeter and get his teammates involved. I mean, he had a great game in that Game 3 in order to get that 2-1 lead. But when you talk about Mike Harris, he's a tank. He can score from the inside. No one can even guard him. You need to send that help in order for him to have a hard time getting buckets for Magnolia.
And he's friends with the Meralco fans. You saw him making those free throws in Game 2
waving
and then waving at them. So, always an entertainer when it comes to Mike Harris. But we gotta talk about some of the locals, Ai.
Yeah, and you know what? Adding to Meralco and Magnolia, we got to talk about the recovery of Paulie. The fans are really hoping for it. And if you guys got some information on the specifics on what happened to our legend Paulie sa game.
So, Paulie suffered a sprain in his ankle in training and really hasn't looked right the entire series, Jegs. How crucial is it for him to at least get a bit of the classic Paulie back into the series?
Well, it's a little bit obvious that he's one step a little bit slower here in this series. In the past 3 games, he just scored, I think 28 points in total on a good day, on a healthy Paul Lee day. That's just his scoring for one game. We know that he can do that, but only time will tell. They had Monday and Tuesday to really try to maybe recover from that injury. So let's see if Wednesday Paul Lee will definitely try to keep Magnolia alive here against Meralco.
And you know what, Jags? Let's talk about good news naman. We have Chris Banquero stepping up, 23 points, double figures. And talagang kasama siya sa mga sinasabi nilang heroes of that game.
Well, I wasn't even surprised. When you talk about Chris Banquero, he's a veteran point guard here in the PBA. He's had a lot of experience in the playoffs. So, nothing new there with Chris Banquero. Such an efficient guard and a very good defensive player as well.
Yeah, he's always there, and he's always he's hassling and harrying as if you're, he hassles and harry like a Magnolia guard. Actually, I wanted to say. Pero again, at 47 shooting, for his 47% shooting from beyond the arc, really was a big weapon. And of course, we asked Diego a while ago for his keys to victory dito para sa lahat ng mga competitors in the semifinals. Meralco, Magnolia, NLEX, and Ginebra. Quick explanation for each. I'm going to read them out one at a time and let you explain. For Meralco, sabi mo, close-out mentality.
Well, for Meralco, the momentum is on their side, so they want to make sure that they close out this one. They don't want to give back the momentum to Magnolia, so they got to do everything. Play great defense, execute on offense, basically just continue what they were doing in the past games.
Ay, what do you say for Magnolia?
And secondly, for Magnolia naman, hit outside shots.
Well, yeah, because in the past 3 games, they've been struggling from the outside. Open looks they've been missing, so if they hit outside shots, it's going to be a different ball game for both teams.
For the NLEX Road Warriors, sabi mo, they need to put a speed limit on Barangay Ginebra, control the pace.
Well, for NLEX, either slow the ball game or try to get a lot of transition buckets for them. They can shoot volume 3s, and Coach Cheng allows that. Let's see if they do the same thing for Game 4.
At para naman sa Ginebra, Brownlee takeover.
Well, I want to see that Brownlee takeover to bring Ginebra back to the finals here in the Governors Cup, and I'm sure all the Ginebra fans are waiting to see that as well. Let's see if it happens in Game 4 tomorrow for both matchups.
PBA Governors Cup semifinals Game 4 happens tomorrow at the Smart Araneta Coliseum. You can catch that on PBA Russian on One Sports. Again, Diego, Dario, thank you very much for joining us here today. And let's see whether or not your key points do come through.
Let's see. Thank you guys for having me.
Okay, so after the break, it's time to get some stories from the court side of the Premier Volleyball League 2022 Open Conference quarterfinals. Stay tuned. You're watching The Game. Welcome back to the game. The Premier Volleyball League 2022 Open Conference continues to light up our worlds with exciting quarterfinals. And to talk a bit about some of the stories, joining us to share some of the stories from the court side is PBL Insider and my partner for tonight, Alexis Tinsay. Uy, Alexis, kamusta naman yung fans kahapon?
Grabe, wala akong marinig sa aking earpiece dahil grabe yung sigaw. 3,000 strong yung audience kahapon. Who, from what I know, were lining up since 5 a.m.
5 a.m., grabe. So it parang concert yung peg, no? Pero of course, so when you talk about all the teams that we've had here, and syempre the 2-year-long wait to actually see their favorite players, it's a bit of what we expected. So let's move on first to a game that happened just a while ago, Chocomucho and PLDT. Chocomucho advancing. For those who are wondering, so Chocomucho will now play Creamline in the semifinals, and PLDT falls into the classification knockout game for rank 5 and 6. Now, when we talk about Chocomucho and the stories that that you've heard from them, what can you tell us here about this team that is going to go up against a big competition here in Creamline?
Yes, you know what, Chocomucho, ever since from last league, kita talaga natin that their ultimate goal is makabawi.
Yeah.
Makuha yung championship that they were supposed to have if not for some schedules, some problems
Yeah.
with their, na tuloy-tuloy yung games nila. Kasi nandun na yung potential from last league. But in here they are, and talagang kita mo na solidified yung team nila, and they're just getting stronger than ever.
Yeah.
And kita natin na, kumbaga, yung end game nila is to win the championships. And you know what's surprising? We all know that ando na yung legendary Dina Wong. We have Kat Tolentino. We have BDL. But it's surprising to see even Isa Molde doing double figures. Agonsanya really surprising the crowd. And it's just something that the Ateneo fans and also the entire Ribisco fans, they're all rooting for it ever since last conference. And you know what? There's something exciting to talk about din, yung PLDT na nakalaban nila kanina.
Yeah.
Na umabot ng 5 sets.
Yeah.
And I think PLDT is a very underrated team kasi kita mo kung gaano kalakas yung players nila. We have Chinchin Basas, Del Palomata, Mika Reyes, with that Mika magic coming back from, the old glory days
Yes.
of Mika in Lasal. Kaya kita natin na talagang lumalaban sila. Compared to Chocomucho, PLDT is just getting strong every game.
Yeah.
They're getting stronger, yung gelling nila, they're a new team. Compared to Chocomucho na yung core team, nandun na from last year.
Yeah, and you had to feel that siguro if PLDT had a longer season, it might have been a different story. But then, of course, we don't have a lot of time to talk about this, but we're going to try and put together the 2 top seeds from the pool groups, and that is Signal and Creamline. Syempre, a lot of people are looking at these, hey, this is a potential finals matchup.
Definitely.
When you talk about these 2 teams, just what makes them such contenders here in this PBL?
You know what, when we were watching Signal sa court, napansin ng panel, napansin ng audience, the people that I was with, na bakit sobrang light ng Signal when it comes to the court. Walang ka-jitters-jitters. When you see other teams, they have errors. Minsan kahit alam na nila yung gagawin nila, kinakabahan sila and yung iba, bumababa yung morale.
Yeah.
Every single time there's an error, there's a lapse. Pero with Signal, they are so unreadable na hindi makapag-strategize yung kabilang team because their setter, Jel Cayuna, is just creatively
Yeah.
setting it up, throwing it in the air kung sino man yung wing na katabi niya.
You bring up a good point there. Sorry,
Yeah.
you mentioned Signal was unreadable, but then a lot of people are saying that Creamline, on the other hand, we all know what they're going to do. Pero what makes them different this time around that makes them so dangerous?
Yeah, I was really asking Ate Lai, their captain, and also Coach Sherwin. It's their 3rd time, diba? 3-time winning champion and their 7th time to enter the finals. Ano pa bang magiging bago sa Creamline? Ano pa bang pwedeng mapanood na
Oo.
iba? And they said right now, they're just trying to be swifter, cleaner, crisper, and you can see it in every smash and every block na talagang hindi na siya umabot ng 5 sets. 3-0, talagang sweep.
End it earlier. Yan yung
Yes.
mensahe sa Creamline. And of course, so much more stories happening on the floor. And Alexis Tinsay is there a lot to get them for you. Alexis, thank you very much for sharing your stories. And that'll wrap us up for today.
Yes, thank you for joining us. I'm Alexis Tinsay.
I'm Paulo Del Rosario. This has been The Game.